Your working memory is one of the most valuable assets that you have in your learning and problem solving. It has the power to shape success, fuel frustration, and is often misunderstood. Cognitive load theory teaches us specific ways that learning can be improved, and for this we'll first need to understand some key concepts of how this works. To really understand cognitive load theory, we need to understand how your working memory and your long-term memory interact. If you think of your brain as a kitchen, then your working memory is the bench space, and your long-term memory is the pantry. The bench is your active workspace. It is designed exclusively for working right now in the present moment, but it has a very strict physical limit. If you clutter your bench with too many different things at once, you literally have no room to cook. You can't chop vegetables if there's no clear space. Things fall on the floor and you get incredibly frustrated. In learning, this is what happens when you try to process too many new pieces of information at once. Your mental bench space gets cluttered and things literally fall off the edge. Your long-term memory, on the other hand, is the pantry. It's designed purely for storage, and for all practical purposes, its capacity is practically infinite. You don't actively cook inside the pantry. Instead, it's where you store your schemas so you can pull them out exactly when you need them. Sure, there's always something hiding away in the back that you've forgotten about, and over time it does need to be topped up through active recall to keep those items fresh and ready to use. And there's sure to be some expired knowledge hiding somewhere in the back as well. But the golden rule of the kitchen is the same as the golden rule of learning. Anything extra that's left in the bench space is just going to get in the way. The entire goal of learning is to efficiently process information on the bench and then pack it away neatly into the pantry. The better organized your pantry, the faster you can cook and the less overwhelmed you will feel. And that's where schema development comes in. Imagine pulling up to the supermarket. You've left your list at home, but you only need 5 things. 5 things is right at the maximum capacity of your working memory. To keep them from falling out of your working memory, you keep repeating them to yourself as you walk through the sliding doors. This repeating loop is called maintenance rehearsal, and it requires mental energy to keep that information active in your working memory. This is most relevant in short-term applications, such as remembering a shopping list or a phone number. If this is your local supermarket, navigating it requires almost zero mental effort. You already have a mental map, a schema, stored in your long-term memory. You don't need to read the aisle signs. Your brain automatically guides you to the produce section for bananas and to the dairy chiller for yogurt. Because your navigation is automated by your schema, your cognitive load is low. Your working memory is entirely free to focus on remembering your 5 items. Now imagine walking into a massive, unfamiliar supermarket in a different town. You have no mental map, and suddenly finding things requires active problem solving. You have to scan the overhead signs. You walk down the aisle labelled sauces looking for chocolate sauce, only to realise it's actually located by the ice cream. You search the candy aisle for marshmallows, but they are over by the hot chocolate. The lack of prior knowledge creates a massive spike in your cognitive load. Your brain is trying to process complex navigation rules, while simultaneously trying to retain those 5 items in your working memory. The bottleneck overflows. Because your working memory is overloaded by the environment, you drop information. You get to the checkout, look in your basket, and realize that you've completely forgotten the yogurt. These examples demonstrate the role of schema, those mental maps that allow you to navigate complex environments, knowing where to proceed and what is relevant. And here is the real twist with this example. We spend so much time stressing over memorizing the shopping list, the specific isolated facts, but the list isn't actually what matters. What matters is your ability to navigate the store. You might forget today's specific grocery list by tomorrow, but you'll permanently remember how to find the dairy section. That structural knowledge is what gets stored in your long-term memory as a schema. Once the navigation becomes automatic, your working memory is completely free to dedicate itself to the unfamiliar parts of the subject. So if schemas are the secret to bypassing that working memory bottleneck, how do we actually go about creating them? We have to understand the difference between how we process information and how the brain packages it. We can carry on with our food theme, so let's use making pancakes as an example. If you try to learn how to make pancakes by just memorizing the ingredient list, flour, milk, eggs, butter, baking powder, sugar, salt, you are using rote learning. You're shoving 7 disconnected items into the working memory that only holds 4. Without the recipe card in front of you, you'll inevitably forget the baking powder and end up just cooking flat rubbery discs. To fix this, we use a process called elaborative rehearsal. This means you stop memorizing and start connecting the new information to things that you already understand. Instead of just staring at the word egg, you realize that egg acts as a glue that holds the batter together. Just like actual glue. You learn that the flour provides structure, milk is the moisture, and baking powder creates a chemical reaction for fluffiness. You are actively anchoring these new ingredients to your existing knowledge of how physical things work. Elaborative rehearsal is the mental work of attaching meaning. Because you've connected the new to the known, your brain actively chunks this information. You no longer have 7 isolated ingredients floating in your head. You've constructed a single, unified schema, the basic batter. This chunk only takes up 1 slot in your working memory, or can more easily be recalled from your long-term memory. And here's why this matters for cognitive load. Because that schema freed up so much space in your working memory, you now have the opportunity to get creative. Want crepes? You know baking powder adds fluff, so you drop it. Want waffles? You know that butter adds crispiness, so you double it. Throwing blueberries into the mix doesn't overwhelm you because your brain isn't struggling to remember the base recipe. Elaborative rehearsal is the mental work, and chunking is the result. And together, they build schema, which makes complex problem solving possible. This is our starting point for cognitive load theory. In the next video, we're going to dive into intrinsic loading, and then into extraneous load, 2 other key parts that will help you to build your learning and your problem solving power. We probably won't stick with the food theme, we'll find something different for that one. Please subscribe and hit like if this has been useful to you, and we'll see you in the next video.